The Leadership Institute is a training ground for the conservative movement. The LI does a fantastic job taking young conservatives from all across the country and helping give them the tools to defend free market principles, to defend the Constitution, and to explain the principles our country was founded on. That is setting the foundation for what I believe is an historic opportunity we have to turn our country around, to get back to the principles America was founded on.
How are you? Great to see everybody. Wow, you guys, first of all, everyone in the country who's watched what's happened at CPAC just over the last 24 hours, I think, remember Sam Tannenhouse's book a few years back, Is Conservatism Dead? No, not dead. We're very much alive. Thank you very much. I was thinking about this race for the presidency in 2016, and I know, some of you guys are, I know Jeb Bush is about to, speak. He's going to have a Q&A with my friend Sean Hannity. I'm looking forward to that. But thinking about this for a moment, some people, how many of you in the room are skeptical of a Bush, another Bush term? Wow. Well, you guys, I think you have to look on the bright side. Okay? Look, we got a long way to go. It's anybody's nomination. Don't let anyone tell you there's a coronation at hand. But I think you have to look on the bright side. I think Jeb could really explode the gender gap. And let me tell you how. I know you guys are like, how is Laura saying this? I think women could actually turn out in droves for Jeb Bush. I mean, what woman doesn't like a man who gives her a blank check at Tiffany's? I mean, diamonds are a girl's best friend. That would be a great theme song for Jeb Bush. Why not? And think about it, there's another way of looking at this. We could dispense with this whole nomination process altogether. It's kind of inconvenient running for president. We have to do this dog and pony show. We do all these debates. Why don't we just call it quits? And Jeb and Hillary can run on the same ticket. I mean, go through the list of things they agree on. Common Core, amnesty, giving Obama fast-track trade authority, a lot of new trade deals with China, the surveillance culture. So I'm designing the bumper sticker. It could be Clush. 2016, what difference does it make? Look, in my opinion, the whole process has become pretty frustrating, right? When you think about how this has gone down, the potential candidates come around and, I think closed-door meetings as opposed to, real conversations with the voters. I'm tired of the airbrush talking points. I'm tired of the backroom deals. I know Scott Walker spoke so compellingly yesterday about the fact that we need air in the room. We need a real colloquy with the American voters, because we've seen what happens when the elites are in charge without the people's input. They fail and fail and fail more. But we have to realize, my friends, you go into battle with the political system you have, and we already know that the media and much of the donor class is hostile to conservatism. And guess what? That's been true for a very long time. They were joking on MSNBC this morning about Scott Walker's comment yesterday when he said, look, I can deal with ISIS. He's joking. Like, I dealt with 100,000 union protesters. Like, oh, that's horrible for him to say that. How could he say that? That's that's like the worst thing that Scott Walker could say. He's not ready for prime time. And you know what I remembered? My friend Craig Shirley reminded me of this. He said, in 1980, Ronald Reagan was campaigning. I think it was before the New Hampshire primary. And he said, look, we know how to deal with the Soviets. Look, he's like, I could deal with the Soviets. I could bring them to the negotiating table. After all, I knew how to deal with the old studio chiefs in Hollywood. right? And the media, just like with Scott Walker, went after Reagan, saying, oh, how could you compare dealing with the Soviets to the studio heads? And Ronald Reagan essentially said, because I have a sense of humor and you don't. But it's not enough for us to rage at the darkness, right? I mean, I think that's what we all find ourselves doing sometimes. And instead, we have to really lift a candle in the darkness for our children, our grandchildren, and the rest of the country. And I want to tell you about something that I'm launching with a great group of people today. And it's called Citizens for the Republic. And it's actually the 501c4 group that Ronald Reagan started many years ago, and it was founded by him in 1977, and we've revived it. And we are launching this effort in order to beat back what I think has been, sadly, a domination by the elites of some of our education and outreach to young people on conservative issues. So you'll be able to go on my Facebook page in a few moments and see what we're going to be doing at Citizens for the Republic. This is Ronald Reagan's 501c4, and we are pledging to carry on his tradition of real conservatism, not rebranded conservatism, not remade conservatism, but Ronald Reagan conservatism. And don't worry, I'm still doing my radio show, Fox and ABC, and raising my 3 children and 1,000 other things. I didn't feel like I had enough to do, but I feel like we need this now, especially as we're moving into 2016. I want to discuss what I think we should look for in a presidential candidate. We have a lot of great people. I loved watching Ben Carson. I enjoyed the back and forth with Governor Christie yesterday, and Ted Cruz, of course, lights up the stage like nobody else. So the idea that we should be conducting any type of coronation in the Republican Party today because 50 rich families decide who they think will best represent their interests? No way, Jose. Merely having the right ideas, however, is not enough. A strong conservative has to be able to debate anyone, anywhere, on matters of policy and win. Remember, Ronald Reagan did that. If Robert F. Kennedy wanted to debate Ronald Reagan, he'd debate RFK. And he did this across the country. He wrote, he refined his thoughts, he studied. He was a serious conservative. We need that today. A strong conservative can explain his or her positions in a language that is precise and a language that is clear. We also need a candidate who is proud to be called a conservative. Proud to stand with you. Not a conservative who comes to CPAC to check a box, but a conservative who comes to CPAC because they are conservatives. Not a so-called conservative who nodded with the elites a few years ago, back in 2008, when the elites were saying that conservatism was over, was dead. A faux conservative would kind of scratch his chin and kind of nod his head or her head and say, you know, I didn't like the tone of what they were saying. I didn't like the message was too harsh, it was too blunt. My friends, when Republicans join the Democrats at the altar of big government, and they might call it one year compassionate conservatism, they might call it the next year American greatness conservatism, they might try to rebrand it as a right to rise conservatism. My friends, peel back the onion, pull back the curtain, make sure that when candidates are asked simple and clear questions, a question like, do you really think the American worker is lazy? Do you really think the American workers aren't as entrepreneurial as new immigrants or illegal immigrants? Do you really believe that we should repopulate Detroit with foreign workers in order to spur a new economic revival? Make the candidate answer the question, not hide behind talking points. Conservatism had made this country better. And we need and we deserve a presidential candidate who's excited to be part of this movement. And think about it, each time we've listened to the elites, we're sorry we did so. They said Reagan couldn't win. They were wrong. They said the Soviet Union couldn't be defeated. They were wrong. They said inflation and high interest rates, high unemployment were permanent things. They couldn't be eradicated. We had to learn with a new era of scarcity, and they were wrong. The elite said we couldn't turn the American spirit around again, and they were wrong. You want more? The elite said we could raise taxes and no one would read our lips, but the American people did. And the elite said we couldn't win control of Congress and that Newt Gingrich and his revolution were doomed. They were a doomed failure, but the American people thought otherwise. The elite said we couldn't run the table in 2014 and that Obamaism was the wave of the future, that women and minorities and single moms would never turn out for conservatives, and they were wrong. The people thought otherwise. The elite said that unless conservatives embraced and passed comprehensive immigration reform, i.e. amnesty, after 2012, remember all those comments? That conservatives and Republicans could never win in 2014. The elites were spectacularly wrong. So when the going gets tough in this next election cycle, in this presidential cycle, you have to ask yourself, which of these candidates is going to stand up and fight for me? The American worker, the American family, the mothers and fathers who play by the rules, don't ask for handouts, don't ask for special treatment, but don't want to be insulted by the elites. They want to be respected as human beings who have their own dreams, the American dream. And American citizenship means something. It's not just a piece of paper. It's an ideal. And it's a belief in the system of government that our framers started, that our forefathers fought for, that men and women in uniform sacrifice for every single day. American citizenship is not something that should be so easily bargained away. American citizenship is ours. My friends, I am so proud to be a conservative. I am so proud that the usual suspects in the media are still scoffing and snarking at what all of you are doing here at CPAC. I want to tell you that as you move forward through the rest of the day and you hear some really compelling remarks and panel discussions and Q&As, for a moment, don't forget where this movement came from. It came from men and women who were told that conservatism was yesterday's news. When we know that a free people, properly energized, who are not regularly insulted or demeaned or left out of the debate, the free people, the people who make up the conservative movement, are going to turn this country around. We are going to be part of a new revolution of growth and understanding and optimism and fun. Because when you're free, you will have a lot more fun in your life. Conservatism is not dour or gloomy. We are an optimistic people. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Have a great time at CPAC. I'm proud of every single one of you. Thanks so much. Thanks. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.